Good morning and happy Friday, y'all. So we made it, right? We made it to Friday. Quick. I want to just share my thoughts on this latest news in politics where the administration has decided to dismantle the Department of Education. Listen, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't pay attention that much to politics because I'm tapped into more of the bigger picture, and then much more intimate picture. So I sense the pulse of what's going on in the world, and I focus my efforts on my family, right? The one that I produced and I brought here. So because I want to be the change that I want to see, right? So I don't get hung up on the details. Anyway, I do get the gist of it because how can you not if you have sense, right? So they're trying to dismantle the Department of Education, and at large, they're trying to not get rid of, but they're trying to make it more difficult for people to be educated or find the funds to be educated in specific careers. The ones that stand out to me, because affinity for me, are nursing and the counselors, right? So those careers are mostly female dominated. And you can check the caption for some references on that, some facts, right? So those those fields that they're trying to make it harder for people to get degrees in, people who are often already oppressed, right? A lot of people who become nurses and who become counselors already come from a history of some kind of oppression or struggle, which is why they become these things, all right? So it's already hard for that group. They know that. And they're going to make it harder for them to graduate and become independent, right? And that's going to have far-reaching impacts because women needed to be independent because the way that genders are trained up in our society, like do the men that might be voting for women to be back in the home barefoot and pregnant and not in the workforce making their own money being independent, are those men really ready to be the providers in these times, in 2025 and beyond, like the sole providers? You know what I mean? Like, man, it's a form of coercive control, okay? It's going to control the men into being providers that maybe they don't really want to be like that. Maybe they do want to do 50-50. Maybe they want help, right? But the thing is, they'll hide that under all kinds of policy making and distraction, you know? So they're distracting us in all types of ways, a lot of the times with neglect or fear tactics. But the point is that if this country successfully makes it more difficult, pushing us back in time, so making it more difficult for women to be independent, all right, and to have an educated voice in their families, okay, that is going to be self-limiting for this country, because the degrees counseling and nursing, those are the degrees that help women understand society, or they help men, okay? Men and women understand society and help them grow their legacies and their families, all right? They help them to increase their emotional intelligence and decrease the amount of trauma and generational trauma that families have. So if this country makes it more difficult for people to become counselors and nurses is a major public health, safety, precaution, net, and necessity. That's what nurses do and have done through all out of time, right? So if they make it difficult for people to learn the science of public health, all right, that is exactly how they lead this whole country to further vulnerability in terms of coercive control, right? Take the woman, or just take education out of the family, take emotional education out of the family, and reintroduce trauma and non-accountability. Force men to take care of families while this crazy inflation is going on. right? Force them to do that and see if this country, like, if it prospers, all right? Did anyone ask the men if they want to be taking care of everybody financially? Because I don't think they do. The men might not mind control. They might not mind having control, right? But nothing comes without a cost, okay? If you control something, you better be able to take care of it. Because if you can't take care of it, it's going to start rebelling, okay? That's what happens. So if the big rebellion was to go and get an education and sort it out and figure it out ourselves, then nobody should be throwing a wrench in that unless they are prepared to take care of all the people who they're stopping getting an education or throwing up barriers to get an education for. But we all know that nobody is going to do that. They're not going to step in and take care of people. They're going to look at them and say, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. So take heed, everyone, the men and the women, okay? If you don't want to be out here taking care of your family financially by yourself, then you better find ways to support every member in your family as to how they're going to get an education and improve the odds for your family, right? You need to focus more inside your house, inside yourself, than on all these distractions, because that's exactly what they are, is distractions. They might make the rules, but they don't make the law. All right? Have a good weekend.